Sippers, welcome to this episode of the Tea With Me podcast with me, the moustached man, Shane Todd. It's a guest episode this week. Before we get into it, a few things to discuss, a few things to mull over. Tickets are potentially available for our live podcast in the Limelight. Now, you know on Patreon we do live stream episodes. This is live in life. 4D, come and see us in person on stage. We put up on YouTube the last one that we did in the Limelight in the smaller room. We're moving to the bigger room. My guests are William Thompson, Mickey Bartlett. There's going to be a little bit of stand-up there as well, courtesy of a great friend of the podcast, Aaron Butler. It's going to be a good time. Tickets may have already sold out by the time this episode comes out. I don't know. I'll be embarrassed if they're like, there's 4 sold. There's 4 sold. So you can get them on shine.net. We'll put a description in the episode down, will we? A link in the description. What did I say?
Description.
Okay, wait. We also have Patreon, which is patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. Bonus episode on a Monday. It's like the Craig David 7 days. Bonus episode on a Monday. Took her for a drink on Tuesday. Friday live stream episode at 2 p.m. every Friday. We are sponsored on the podcast by Thompson's Tea. Now, my guest, and I can't reveal who he is just yet, although it is in the title for the episode, so you'll know, right? My guest is a fan of this brand, and that's always good, because I went downstairs on a crutch to make tea for everyone, right? Why is that happening in 2022? But I did it. To be fair, Dan offered to do it, but here's the thing. I like to have a separate spoon because I have almond milk, because if regular milk mixes with my milk, I will die on the spot. And I didn't trust Dan to use a separate spoon, and I think you would have told me that you did, but I don't think you would.
That's maybe fair.
That's fair. Dan's trying to kill me. Also, so this guest was like, look, I'm a big fan of that particular tea brand. We're talking about Punjana. Then he said, Is that made? Do the Thompson family own Punjana? You said that, didn't you?
I did, yes.
He said that, and I said, let me tell you, since the 1800s, the Thompson family. That's true. Since the 1800s, the Thompson family have been making tea right here in Belfast, and they could have called it something local. Sure, they could have like pasty, like kneecap. Baseball bat, regret, gurn, but they didn't. They said, let's call it Punjana. Why? That's their business. So a lot of you guys are running about, like my guest, thinking Punjana is sent here, via boat, from somewhere far afield, like India, like Sri Lanka, like Brighton, but it's not. It's made right here in Belfast. Support local. Made in the ship. They make that in the shipyard, so they do. They don't. Why would they? They make that in the shipyard, and it's been about since the 1800s. Northern Ireland's number 1 selling tea. They've got breakfast tea, decaf. Paddy McDonald a couple of weeks ago, for some unknown reason, drank green tea. He thinks it's going to get rid of the gout. It's not. The tea that we're drinking right now is the signature blend. Just keep drinking Punjana. That's all I gotta say about that. We're also sponsored by Manscaped, the number 1 in men's below the belt grooming. Number 1. The number 2 brand is your dad has his own range of pube cutters, he calls them. And your dad's fucking, it's like art attack. He's put it together with like plastic, and it's not a good product. But Manscaped is. They've got everything your balls could ever need. Okay, they've got ball deodorant, ball cleanser, ball wipes, the Lawnmower 4.0, this electric razor with a wee LED light on it, just in case, like Dan here, you like to do it in the dark. Dan likes to go outside, trip the mains, all the power off in his house, and he likes to go into the wee cubby. He likes to go into his wee... He likes to go into his wee cubby hole, and if anyone asks, where are you going? He goes, I'm going in a wee cubby hole here, and he puts on the wee LED light because he likes the jeopardy of it. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like this chat, but he likes the jeopardy of it. But with Manscaped, it's okay because he's got the light. He knows what he's doing, and he comes out of there smoother than another's pocket. I don't know if that's a phrase. Manscaped.com. Take care of yourself down there. Use the code teawithme for 20% off and free shipping. By the way, I'm not going to tell you how Mike does it. 20% off and free shipping. The link is in the description. My guest today is a returning guest, but has not been down to this studio. One of the only guests we had in what I call the in-between studio, where we were for a while we were in a listed building and the windows were painted closed. But now we have plentiful air, which is great because my guests over there are just breathing in and out.
Take up a lot of space now, in all fairness.
Don't say that about yourself.
It's great to have that room.
My guest is brother of Alicia. Conor Keyes. Has that banter
best
been
thing
done
about
before?
that, right? You see, I'm of the age, so I'm the eldest of 4 boys, right?
Yeah.
And my second youngest brother, that song came out, Alicia Keys' first song, whatever the big breakthrough hit, No One, was played everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. But internet wasn't a big thing.
Yeah.
So nobody really got to see her.
Mm-hmm.
My brother had told his entire school year that was our cousin.
Right. It sounds like you're from Omagh. Alicia Keys from the town.
From the town. Yeah. Until there was one glaringly obvious.
What's that?
She could play piano. There's no way.
None of the keys. Ironically, you can play piano. Not a piano player amongst us.
Not a fucking note.
So yeah, I like that because that is a playground rumours work great. I remember a guy joined our school and wanted to impress everyone. The Odyssey had just been built, the Odyssey Arena, and he told everyone his dad owned it, as if like just one man owned it. And he said, we were like first year in school, like 11, 12. He goes, sure, Britney Spears is coming and she's staying in our house. And people wanted to beat him up for it, but then also there was the thing of he might be right here.
He might be right.
So he was the most popular guy for many months. Is there anyone famous in your family though?
Apart from me, the laugh with that tash is more sinister than normal. It's just
I look like a medieval French pervert.
No, I don't. No, nobody famous. No, not in our family. No.
Like even going back, like do you know anything about your ancestors?
Well, my biological father his family would all be very creative. They're all musical, and my great grandfather was a poet.
Oh
and
yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah.
You read any of his stuff?
Yeah, I set up a website actually, TyroneAmongTheBushes.com.
Tyrone Among the Bushes.
Yeah, it was a line from one of his poems.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, go and check that out. Go and see that shit. But yeah, so there's creativity along there, and music was a big part of their thing as well. But it was weird because I wasn't really part of the family.
Because you couldn't play the piano?
Because I couldn't play the piano. It was keys non-stop. So yeah, it was a weird thing that I ended up having that sort of background.
But you're musical now.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that. But what we have to talk about is I'll offer you a cup of tea as you come here, as my guest, as my friend. Mm-hmm. And you said, leave the bag in.
I'm a tea bagger, yeah.
But we're talking about how you take your tea.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were joking.
No.
But you're drinking that tea with the threat that you could swallow that tea bag. Unless you do at the end.
That's why I love it. It's the beverage version of a danger wink.
Yeah.
You're never too sure if you're going to get a load or not.
You're not scared. You're not scared for the bag to go down the throat.
No, I don't mind. I have a big enough throat. I think it would go down without even touching the sides.
Seriously, you keep the bag in?
Yeah, I like it. I like a good strong tea.
I think there was a period where I didn't speak to my mum for about 2 years because once by accident the tea bag was left in the tea. I was like, I could have died.
But your wee thin neck, you see.
Huh? I don't have a thin neck.
You do. I
have a thin neck, but a fat throat.
Well, that's all the money you've been stuffed down your throat. But
it gets what I get paid.
Open your mouth, Shane.
You're a big tea man.
I'm more of a coffee man. Yeah.
Many a day.
Coffees. there's about 3 or 4 coffee shops in Omagh, and this is how many coffees I drink in a day. Any one of them I walk into, they go, usual? I'm like, yeah.
So,
because I get a large 4-shot latte. So, I know. I think it balances out the weed. I think that's something, but
medically,
there's some sort of, there's a link in there somewhere.
Right.
So I would have that, and that sort of stands out to them. Obviously, as being a drink they're going, because everybody else is the same as you, going 4 shots, and I'm like, yeah.
So unless
you're in Dublin at a fucking hipster I fucking
don't like that.
Went into a real hipster coffee place, and I asked the girl behind the counter for a coffee, and can I have an extra shot in it?
Yeah.
And she goes, no, we don't do that. And I was like, what do you mean you don't do it? She goes, our coffee's an exact recipe.
Oh, fuck off.
And I said, but I can tell you now what you're going to serve me is a weak coffee.
Yeah.
And she went, no, it's our recipe. And I was like, well, maybe this hipster thing is, maybe they're right, you know, because they're so. My sister-in-law went also to, on the menu, it was like smashed avocado and toast, of course it was.
Yeah.
And she was like, can I just get a tea and some toast? And she goes, no, we don't do toast.
Right.
And she said, it's on the menu. She goes, yeah, but you have to have the avocado with it.
Well, also, what were we doing before we were smashing avocados?
I don't know what the fuck was going on. Where did they come out of? I don't know.
Were we digging avocados, bunching them?
But yeah, I don't know how we did it beforehand. Would we slice them?
So I hate the thing.
So they gave me
a
warm milk, basically, a weak coffee.
But I like places to be able to adapt a bit in terms of like what they offer.
Yeah.
You know, because
sorry, I just remembered one in Bundoran. There's a real.
Oh, you're not getting a hipster coffee shop in Bundoran?
You wouldn't believe it, because the surfers run it. So all the surfers are like, right, and you go into this and it's a real. There's vinyl playing and there's all this sort of shit, and the guy weighs out the coffee on scales for every single coffee, right? And then I'm going in fucking up his whole mantra by going, can I get 4 shots, please? And he's like, I'm going to take the scales out twice.
You get a spade from the garden.
He takes the scales out every single, and there's a queue of people. I'm going, mate, come on the fuck.
You have to be at some
by the
point.
500th cup, you must know what the weight is.
You have to be able to freehand it at some point, like Spanish waiters when you order a vog of Coke, just upside down. I was in Chicago, and on that trip found out it wasn't Chicago. And I was arguing with people there that it was
Chicago.
I was like, oh, great to be in Chicago. The MC was like, you keep saying Chicago at these shows, it's Chicago. And I said, it isn't, it's Chicago. I would know. I've been having the pizzas for years.
Stick with the Windy City and just leave it at
that. So I went to, there was a real hipster place, and obviously in America, like,
they take it to extreme, yeah,
because coffee culture's probably only come here 5-10 years, like really.
Yeah, it's relatively new anyway. Especially the whole, like, there's always like, do you want milk in that?
Yeah.
There was black coffee and that was it.
Yeah.
The Americano and cappuccino thing was definitely about 10 years maybe.
This place was like, it looked like a lab.
Oh yeah.
Right, like it looked like an Apple store, and I walked in and there was a guy serving me, and I was like, oh, can I have a tea? And he's like, yeah, no problem, breakfast tea. But puts it down for me. And I paid, and then I went to grab it, and he went, no. I went, He said, not yet. I said, what do you mean? He goes, bro, it's a 3-minute brew. And I was like, it should be a 3-second conversation before I leave. Here's the thing, I'm such a bitch. I just stood there and waited. I was like, he says I can't take it yet.
Telling a man from Ulster how to take his tea?
I know. But like fully, I was like, all right, no worries, you would know. You would know. You've been a barista for 3 weeks.
It is crazy, yeah. But that whole scene of the whole, like, the barista thing, like, Bundoran taking it to the extreme.
Yeah.
You know, as you say, there's common sense in there, but it was a lovely cup of coffee, but was it worth the extra weight? No pun intended, but...
If you had to open a tea or a coffee shop anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Probably down the street, because I wouldn't have to. Oh, anywhere in the world, Amsterdam's going to be.
Alright. I love it to start. Anywhere in the world? Down the street.
Well, down the street if I have to go to work every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking get a flight. But yeah, Amsterdam probably. Just maybe not so much for the coffee. But just the actual ambiance.
Yeah. Do you know, you would go into a coffee shop in Amsterdam, like a weed shop, coffee shop, and like, you know, blank facial expression, head to the counter. I still definitely walk in like this. Like, I'm laughing. I'm like, even before I've done anything.
No, I sit with the locals. I go to the places that aren't in the.
Did you say
center.
You don't go to Amsterdam? There's somewhere like just outside.
Well, they used to, we would have went to southern Holland. There's a kids theme park down there, so we would have stood down and stayed there.
Oh,
They're
right.
mad
I thought
about
you were
that.
like by yourself. You
Yeah,
like to
just
go
me,
and
just
get
me, just fucking half ounce of weed and just went down to
baked on the
walk around,
walters.
on the bump and cash.
I like a real relaxing experience. I like to just, smoke a little bit, have an edible, and then get on a fucking loop the loop.
No, we would. I would hire a car out, and then we would stay in a hotel down there, and then travel about Holland. Do a day trip to Amsterdam rather than going in, that sort of thing. But
With this moustache, I look like I'm trying to bust kids for smoking weed.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. If you were at a concert, you'd be in a polo shirt and a pair of khaki shorts, and everybody's going to be going, he's just missing a sniffer dog.
At an Eagle Eye Cherry concert. I look like I'm about to make some arrests at a James Morrison gig.
Save tonight, boy. Save tonight.
And then they turn on me and just like overpower me very easily.
Yeah, that's where I'd open a coffee shop. I think that'll be the best. Yeah, there's a.
Come here. Last week or the week before, comedy is. Do you know how comedy is back? How you know comedy's back? Because Daley's is back.
We are back. Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, although if you're into local comedy, you'll have heard people talk about it. You run a club in Omagh, in your hometown, Daley's Comedy Club. How would you describe the bar of Daley's? Is it sly to say?
I remember Andrew Maxwell
Omagh?
came to do a gig in Daley's, and he walked in to the front door, and there was two old men at the bar.
Yeah.
Slightly inebriated because it was 8 o'clock in the evening and they'd been there since 9:30 in the morning. And he said to me when he came up the stairs then and then seen the club, but when he walked in, he said, for that instant image, he goes, I questioned my entire career.
Yeah. He
Going,
thought that's
"What?"
where it was.
That's where it was. He thought I've turned up to a pub and I'm going to be.
And because we've all done those.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it happened maybe loads of times. So, yeah, that's how you would describe it. It's very unassuming because it's
It's
upstairs.
like function room above
Sort of, yeah.
an old traditional bar right in the centre of town.
Yeah.
And like,
Oh, it has since they've reopened again. The bar has really kicked off a real resurgence.
Well, normally what would happen, like in years gone by, like you go in, like you say, there's one or two a small group of people in the bar. After the show, some people filter down.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed doing it a couple of weeks ago when I went in, the bar was packed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they must not be starting soon. But it was just people who were actually just punters
yeah,
there.
so it's picked up. But
It's
a weird thing to happen just in the middle of Omagh, in the middle of
It is probably the most loved. It is the most loved comedy club around because it's a wee bit of a novelty for us. It's outside of Belfast, great gigs in Belfast, like Lavery's and Pugs and all that. But there's just something about like a wee trip to Omagh.
It kind of also dispels the myth that any gig in a rural area is going to be shite. Some people have that thing. Acts were coming in, like some Maxwell or people coming in, they're never going to put Omagh on their tour date normally.
Yeah.
But now they will because there's a venue there. Because we said to somebody, it's not necessarily, it's the room. It doesn't matter who technically owns the place or runs the place. The square room, low ceiling, is just a recipe for pure comedy. If you think of the stands, they're all the same. They're all that sort of.
Because I was really nervous to do it, and I hadn't felt proper nerves like that in a long time, because I do hold it in such high regard.
Yeah,
it was the first one back.
It's the first one back too. Yeah, the big return. It was a tough one to be.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the good thing, obviously, because you're on yourself, sold out. So that fear was gone, because you're still a small town, so you're wondering, are somebody going to fucking turn up?
Yeah, because every town has tried. I know I've had this conversation before, but every town locally and village has tried to have stand up.
Yeah.
In the last 10 years, they have a big opening night, and the bar pumps loads of money into advertising and promo, and it's sold out. And then they think, all right, well now that's established, so the next month they don't do any promo or any advertising. No one shows up, and they cancel it.
Yeah.
Instead of
you talk to Chrissy and Terry, Chris Boys and Terry Keyes. We first started it. I mean, it was a long slog before you got it to. Because first of all,
I did the first one ever.
Were you the first one ever in the room?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, because even then, it took about 2 or 3 years to get the local people used to the notion that, oh, this is a pub, but I don't come to talk.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't talk? This is Daley's. And no, this is a comedy club. This is a show. But now, obviously, we're in the routine now that everybody is.
But you've almost had to manipulate people's minds to be like, come at this time.
Yeah.
Don't be late. Like, don't be too. Let's not start too late.
Yeah.
And like this will be good. If you know what I mean. Like, trust.
There had to be a
us,
lot
like,
of
this will
faith.
be
Yeah,
good.
there had to be a lot of and I think it was the early because my first one was a competition.
That's right. Yeah,
My first
yeah.
gig, so it was Darren Matthews and I think Woodsy might have been on the same one.
Yeah.
And
You won.
I won, but
Fuck them. Is that what you're saying?
fuck all of them. But I shouldn't have won. Like Niamh Martin fucking tore the roof of the place. But like we all know from competitions, whoever brings the biggest audience.
Well, yeah.
So it was my first time trying it. So because I was involved in the community, still am, and I know a lot of people, I was so nervous about going to do this first gig to nobody. I was like, fucking come. So I packed the place full of friends, family and all the rest. And but what happened was it introduced them to a different type of a night.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then Christy and Terry will say from that night on, about 60% of them stayed and came every month and became
Yeah.
regulars, and there's a name for a certain corner of the bar, and there's
Yes.
all that sort of stuff. So
You see the same faces and stuff,
Yeah.
which is such a nice feeling when you go in. You're like, they're gonna get it, kind of.
yeah, and they'll give you that sort of they almost accommodate you a bit because they're just so glad to see something and people coming,
Yeah.
and that. But now at this stage, how many years now? 10 or 12 years on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a case of going, okay, we know what standard is now.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to. We're not a wee small, first time small town getting a comedy. We know the shit.
Yeah.
Fucking bring it. And last 2 weeks ago was brilliant. I mean,
It was
you
class.
killed it. Like it was fucking great.
I really enjoyed sitting on a stool.
Yeah.
I had to because my leg was fucked.
There was
But,
a Dave Allen feeling about you.
but it was-
just need a whiskey beside you.
it was nice. Like
Yeah,
sitting on a
it's
stool
nice.
doing it is nice because I'd had stools at the shows before,
Yeah.
but never had the balls to like sit on it. Because I think part of me is like, if I look too relaxed, that's going to go wrong. And
Yeah, you looked very comfortable as opposed to relaxed. I know maybe that's the same fucking thing, but you
Yeah,
know what I
no, I
mean.
know what you mean.
Relaxed would mean you're laid back about it, but you just looked like I'm enjoying this and I'm having it.
Yeah.
And I knew because you went over time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you thought, oh, I'm just going to do. But when I went over, I was like, oh, he's having fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
deadly.
yeah.
So for us, that's a great thing to get that back again.
Like, how do you describe Omagh as a town? Like, I feel like Hollywood here, like my town, is a very like defined town. Like, do you
help me out
think
here, Dan?
like Omagh people, for example, like the misconception about Hollywood obviously is like, oh, it's very a lot of it is,
Yeah.
but probably half of it isn't, and actually there's it's like almost like quite a liberal place, especially in terms of like politics, and like there's full paramilitaries for sure, but then but like most people like
But
growing
they're
up,
progressive paramilitaries.
yeah, they're nice, like most people. Well, here's a weird thing about here. Back in the day, you would see guys on a night out and go, yeah, they're paramilitaries. 3 of their mates or whatever would be Catholic. It's almost like sectarian, like there's been sectarian stuff
Were
here.
they insurance policy? Just to have
Yeah. I think you think putting a tea bag in a cup's dangerous. Try sitting with 4 boys from the FAF on a night out.
and then tell me about the storm in the teacup. Is you think you can't?
But like I don't know. I think Hollywood is like there's a wee bit as well of like not arrogance about the town, but like Mike, you're from here.
There's
too.
money about the town.
There's a wee bit of money about, and
A wee bit of money. I was walking through it there now, and like I didn't hear anybody trying to sell me the big issue. You know what I mean? I didn't hear a really badly out of tune busker in the corner. Like it was very calm and serene, and wee flower shops and wee coffee shops. It looked very fancy. And I thought you can smell money.
the big issue is keeping it fancy.
That's how
You know?
the big issue is keeping out the big issue.
Yeah, the buskers are like, Belfast. You got that guy with like a violin trumpet mashup
Yeah.
kind of thing. Here you've got like 8-piece blues band. You've
Yes.
got like bluegrass on the street. But I don't know. I think like Hollywood is quite sort of defined. Like there's a stereotype about it. But what do people think of Omagh? Because I think of Omagh as ultra friendly, very
Well,
friendly.
see, it
but maybe
depends.
that's an outside perspective.
Yeah, because I mean, if you were to go to Strabane, that's ultra friendly.
Yeah.
Seriously, people saying
I was
everybody
there the week before, and even the comedy club. It was
but even walking in the street to strangers, people saying hello to each other, and you're like, "Fuck, this is strange." You don't get
Yeah.
that no more. Just head down, just move on.
oh really?
almost full of funny fuckers, like proper. Do you know? Like obviously there's myself and Aaron McCann. McCartney wouldn't say he's from Omagh, but he's from the hinterland.
McCartney's from the abyss.
He's
McCartney's from here and there, somewhere in between here and there.
Between here and there, in a roundabout way. But
McCartney's from over yonder.
from days of yore. Is
McCartney 23 or 57?
I've no
Who
idea.
is Mark McCartney?
I said this in our podcast. I went to listen to McCartney's podcast and put it on 1.8 speed, right? And sounds like a 72-year-old McCartney. Do you know when a man gets that old and he just wants to get the words out as fast as he can, and it's in that accent? But because he speaks so slow normally, it just sounds like a regular conversation. But because of that, I always think there's so many other boys in that town and girls who could fucking slay comedy. Yeah, if they ever tried it.
I don't think I would here.
You see, I actively try and stop people from doing it. So I'll be proactive out there and like tell them they're not funny, and like that's a shit joke, and then I'll use it on stage. That sort of stuff. Like that. yeah. But loads of fucking really really funny fucks. Loads of talented musicians in Omagh as well. Loads of fucking really. You go into. There's a bar in Omagh, McCann's, and that's where I would go for a pint of stout. But the music in there is fucking unbelievable. And you never know who's going to be playing in there. It could be like the Lost Brothers. I don't know if you listen to them. They're like a sort of a folk band, and one half of them is from Omagh. So Mark could be in there playing on a Friday night, and you walk in, you go, fuck me, I would have to pay €35 in Dublin to go and see him. So it's full of music, but it's not known for it. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think we don't sell ourselves very well. I think there's that sort of fucking vibe about Omagh too, and going, who the fuck do you think you are?
Right.
Which I think is a northern thing, maybe, or maybe
I think that
it's definitely very strong in Omagh. So you just keep yourself to that a bit grounded and go, I'm doing all right.
What's the reaction as like a stand-up from the town and doing podcasts, doing comedy and that sort of thing? Like, do you get like a positive reaction, or is there a bit of that, like you say, like a? What are you trying to?
Not really. A lot of the boys I went to school with were like, how come it took so long? Right. They all thought I would have been anyway. At that time, I was the fucking class clown. So I just took that. I didn't start it until I was 30. So I started in just turned 30 in 2011, and it was just one of those. It was a bucket list type thing, to try and do.
And was it a case? Because I know when I'm curious about stand-up comedy, my thing was I'm going to do it once to say I've done it, and then I don't have to do it again.
Well, I had written a play. Me and my mate had written a play, part of a community project thing, and it was telling our story of, like, we grew up in a sort of probably the worst estate in Omagh, and it would be known as a very Republican estate. And so
what's it called?
Hunter Crescent.
Hunter Crescent? Sounds fucking unbelievable.
It's
Hunter Crescent sounds like it's out of the Arches or something. Or Emmerdale. It sounds like a new development in Emmerdale.
Its nickname was Dodge City.
Dodge City?
Yeah.
Because you were dodging punch?
Well, I actually asked the guy why because somebody from outside named it that, and I said, why the fuck do you call it Dodge City? And he goes, because every man on here's dodging their neighbours' wives. And I didn't want to think about it because my mom and dad lived there, and I thought, well, I don't want to think about that scenario, but I Dodge City. So we wrote a play about our experiences growing up there, and it was the first time. I don't know if you've ever done this, if you've written something to put out on the performance, because obviously you do when stand up, you're doing it.
Yeah.
But like a sketch or something like that, when you write something. So I was in the wings, and the play was happening with the actors, and I could hear the audience laughing. I was going, fuck, they're laughing at my words.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I thought, oh, maybe it is. Maybe I could do something funny.
Right.
And then the fucking stress of dealing with a play and 14 people and 14 schedules and trying to get rehearsals, and I thought, fuck, if I could just do this myself without all that shit.
Yeah.
And and I went to Daley's actually, and it was one of those quiet nights. It was sort of struggling.
I think I was there.
I didn't want to say nothing, but I seen a comedian on one night and I thought, fuck me, I could do better than that.
Yeah.
Right? And I didn't want to say who it was, but
it was Dave.
But you were on that night. And
is Dave Elliott?
No, actually the guy doesn't do it anymore. But I remember
okay, well then you can say who is.
That's even worse, isn't it? No, I shouldn't say it. Oh. I was sitting in the audience with my brother, and I remember this guy was up and he was telling jokes that were properly 20 years old. Playground jokes we would have told each other, and I was like, the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I remember saying to my brother, I mightn't be the best, but I know I can do better than that.
Yeah.
And then that night I said to Chris, I was like, can you get me a slot? What is a slot? And he was like, 7 minutes. I was like, okay. But then the problem was I wrote 7 minutes. So then the
not
second gig, they went, "Can you do 10?" I was like, "No,
Yeah,
I don't know 10."
Plus, people don't allow for like you'd be
I don't allow for
surprised if
laughter,
it goes
yeah.
well about how much time laughter takes up,
Absolutely, yeah.
and you're rolling with. You might add something in, on the spot.
And that's what happened, and so it went longer. But so that was my first venture into it, but it was it was pure fuck, almost like a spite move.
Yeah.
But I can do better than that. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Everything he does. He's a car salesman, right? Well, I'm selling cars here. Well,
Nah,
you tell
don't
me
even start
after.
going
You
on
tell
that.
me after. We're not like that.
No, we're not allowed to say that. No. He probably listens. Doesn't he?
Yeah, I think the one of the stand-ups I watched who like got me into it was Paddy McGahey. Paddy's from Ballymena, for anyone who doesn't know Paddy, and he was doing was 16 in the Empire watching stand-up a few Tuesdays in a row when I was a student, and Paddy was on, and it was a case of seeing a local act and going, I want to do, but not in a way of like I could do better than that. It was I would like to do that.
Yeah. There's a weird thing with comedy is that you don't realize that you don't need, especially when you're younger, you realize there's no membership form.
Yeah.
There's no club to be joining. You just do it.
Yeah.
Like I was working when I was 19. I went to London. I was working in Jongleurs Comedy Club. Doing the bar.
Right.
Watching all like Phil Nichol and Paul Tompkins and Peter Keyes and all these different acts. This is 2000, 2001. And in my mind, they were the comedians. I was the bar staff, but there's no way I could ever cross that barrier into doing that.
I was the same until I saw Paddy, and I was like, he looks like
one of us.
He's could be from my street, and
Yeah.
he's from here, because the headliner might have been English or Scottish, but I was like, how did this guy do it? How did he get to be on? I know what you mean.
By
Like,
being
you're
the fucking nicest guy in comedy.
yeah, you're like, yeah, you're exactly right. Surely they bring the comedians over here. Do they let local people do it?
It's almost like a revelation. You're going,
Yeah.
and part of me is like, why the fuck did I not realize that back when I was 19
Yeah.
in London? And where would you be now? But then I was thinking, I mean, I started at 30, which meant I had a whole wealth of fucking
life
experience
to talk
talk about. Yeah,
Did you like London?
loved it. Yeah,
How long were you there for?
just under 3 years.
And what were you doing? Just working on bars?
I went to university. Went to, and didn't finish it.
Oh, right.
Got a full-time job in a bar and just partied.
What were you studying at uni?
Psychology.
Brain
I think it was part of it.
brain stuff.
It was in there. One
What,
side or the other.
Will it like you study psychology? Like you're trying to you're trying to mind read?
No, I'm not a magician. No, I'm a psychologician.
Because watch this. Name a food after 3. Any food. Ready? We haven't.
No, we haven't
That's
thought this.
fine.
Right, go ahead.
1, 2, 3. Avocado.
Cauliflower.
There
Right.
you go. So
I'm not going to count neither.
right.
I'd have been fucking shit Lethal Weapon. I'd still be in the toilet.
Does weed?
I'd be parts of me all over the bathroom. Going, fucking cunt didn't go on 3.
Does being a big fan of weed delay your
Fan of weed?
reflexes? Yeah,
No,
it's fair to say you're.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a fanboy. I would say I'm more like a promoter.
Shareholder? Are you on the
Shareholder.
board of weed?
I'm on the board of Hemp Incorporated.
But does it like slow your reflexes or anything? Like, do you ever you're
Well, I mean, I'm a pretty slow guy anyway, just physically. The mind moves fast, but the body wouldn't be great now. Shit.
Right.
I wouldn't be breaking or spraining my ankle as you happen.
I broke my leg.
You sprained your ankle.
I broke my leg in multiple places, just one place.
2.5 weeks recovery.
Well, no, that's just
Sprained
because
ankle.
I'm a medical marvel.
You are indeed.
I'll show you. I'm gonna get X-rays and we're gonna put them in.
We are, yeah. Because I mean, we know. Like, I mean, let's be honest. The next thing you'll be telling us, you're a champion of like fucking, I don't know, yo-yos or something. You know what I mean? You'll be making up stuff. Sprained ankle.
I actually was okay with the yo-yo back in the day, but not good enough for the yo-yos I had. Does that make sense?
Right.
I would have had like a glow up like top yo-yo.
Because you had money. That's why.
I wasn't good enough.
No.
No, not back in the day.
What? Look at me with that drama face.
No,
You had money.
no,
Oh no, well you didn't physically, but I mean your parents had money.
not really.
Did you?
No,
Know?
I grew up in fucking
You can't even
Calcutta.
try. Where?
Calcutta.
Right.
Back in the day,
India?
and it was Mother Teresa that sorted me out. No, definitely back in the day. Like I wasn't going to school like
Yeah, you
with,
were wealthy.
paper
like,
with
yeah.
paper money.
No.
I'm going with 20p's.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like
But no
legitimate.
free school meals.
I could have got free school meals. I got like
did you?
tech paid for.
But that's because you're
'Cause-
disability. But I mean,
Well, yeah. And hey, I thought I was going to text, but I wasn't. Yeah, psychology degree. Me, from the dissertation. Pick a food, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Well, I just always thought you just...
No, I just look like I do.
You look like you do, and then you meet wee Dennis driving a wee fucking sports fucking Mercedes. You're going...
But let's just say asset people might freeze that soon. You know what I mean? Let's just say ship and coke, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what he does have bad luck about him. Like,
Yeah.
he definitely has coke.
Always in his speedos. If you check his speedos,
and you know it's a guy that's involved in import export of coke as opposed to dealing.
yeah,
Because he's always got a good tan. So, you
Yeah.
know, he's in Spain off the coast somewhere down the south coast waiting for a boat.
yeah. When I read all the stuff about like the drug wars in Dublin and stuff, every Sunday I'm like turning the pages of Sunday papers, being like, "Don't be my dad, don't be my dad." Oh, thank fuck. Don't be my dad. Oh, thank fuck.
But it would be the least shocking revelation of all time.
Yeah. No, I just like, especially as a young guy, I looked very wealthy. Because
Yeah.
like, you know, I had great complexion.
Yeah.
And like, I had the entitlement of someone who did.
Right,
But
okay.
I-
Maybe it's the airs and graces that you
But I didn't.
wander about with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just extremely well brought up.
It's not money, it's just good breeding.
It's just good breeding.
But yeah, no, I'm not on the board of weed, but I am a fan, I suppose, in that sense. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, do you ever like go to think of something and then you just can't?
Yeah, using my wife's name and stuff. There's just things like short-term memory's not great.
Right.
You know, long-term's fine, but short-term you forget stuff at the shop or whatever. But I can't, to be honest with you, I was kind of like that before. I was
Right,
kind of absent-minded. I'm going to weed days.
You and Mickey's podcast, Dexter and Yums,
Yes.
sometimes you stay like, it's not full conspiracy theorist podcast. You can talk about anything and everything.
Yeah.
But when you do deal with like conspiracy theories, how has it got weirder, the sort of messages you get and the interaction you get, or was
yeah.
it more at the start?
At the start, we got quite a few like proper nut jobs. Like, I had to take
Flash,
my
have you got a torch?
I had to take my phone out because my phone was ringing there.
Can I say it's a very old guy thing to have the torch on your phone just on and not know?
It happens all the time in my pocket, this new iPhone. Yeah, it's a weird one because we have, well, technically now we have 3 podcasts. So we have the main one that goes out, and then we have a bonus one of questions, and then there's always been the Just Rabbiting On, which is now just become us answering things sent in to us. But it started off with conspiracy theories, and as time went on, it was like there are some mental bastards out there, like some crazy stuff. Like some of the stuff I've went through, and we haven't even talked about half the stuff that, because it is so mental. Like it's so
You literally can't.
You couldn't. Like some of them are crazy. Some are. If you go away from all the some of them are so out there, they're fucking brilliant.
Right.
You know,
right,
and
right.
and it's not sometimes. Somebody making a statement about a conspiracy or whatever is anybody can do that. Anybody can say such and such is this, but it's what I love is what's their evidence, like what are they using to prove it. So like one of my favorite conspiracy theories is Stevie Wonder's not blind. Mm-hmm. Right.
So I've heard this.
Right. So
Shaquille O'Neal said that, oh, I live in the same apartment block as him. I got into lift with him and he pressed the
button for him, and then there's another video of him on stage, and somebody walks past him and bumps into like a mic stand or a cymbal stand from a drum kit, and he catches it.
Yeah.
But again, nobody's thinking about vibrations and feeling, and you know, he just felt it move and caught it. But this notion now, and that people are dead set, and I was like, why?
Can I just say, I don't think he's blind.
No way. Purely
because the basketball player Shaquille O'Neal was like, I hit a button in the lift. In my head, I go, Stevie Wonder, you are a lying bastard, my friend. Like, why are you
What did he
spoofing?
say? 70 odd years.
Oh,
so he lied for all these years just to get in a lift with Shaq.
He's playing the long game. He's playing the long game, and in about a year, he's going to announce a major collab with Specsavers.
There are some fucking, I swear to God, some mental ones. Did you know Obama was Hitler's grandson?
I'd heard that.
That's another one. And I can show you the lineage and stuff and the genealogy of it all. Like, yeah.
But Stevie Wonder isn't blind.
I just called to say I see you.
How'd you see the buttons? You lying prick. This was before voice recognition. He couldn't just hit Siri.
Or Shaq's just involved in a big conspiracy theory to fucking.
Has anyone accused you of like user like government?
Oh fucking! Well, not the government thing, but we've been called some names over the last year and a half. It has been fucking brutal, and mainly just because we ask questions. And if you ask questions and people don't like the fact that you're asking the question because it might upset their viewpoint,
Yeah.
they don't be happy about it.
Right.
And then it gets to the point where, as comedians, we get the wee tingle going, oh, they don't like that, so let's do more of it.
Because when you're doing stand-up live and you're talking about something, you get a sense straight away what the audience think of it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a podcast, you've no idea.
No idea, no.
You're just having a conversation about something you don't know.
Yeah.
We were talking about Get Back, the Beatles film.
Yeah.
As on Disney, I was asking if you'd seen it, and we both loved it. What's the conspiracy about Paul McCartney? Is it that Paul McCartney died and was replaced by an actor or another guy?
So it's probably one of my favourites again because I genuinely believe the Beatles are involved in it.
As in they promoted this
As in
myth?
they promoted the myth and the conspiracy theory about that, and McCartney's involved right up till today. So 66 apparently, there was a car crash, McCartney's gone, and they brought in Billy Shears, right? So
a guy called
he's named himself Billy Shears because of Sgt. Pepper's and all the rest of the thing. But and this is the idea then that there's loads. There's a great book on it actually, and it's called The Memoirs of Billy Shears.
Class.
And it came out in 2009, and I'll fucking swear by it, Paul McCartney wrote it, right? Because it's either, first of all, the author has never written anything else.
Right.
And his name's Thomas E. Harriet, right? Which, if you put it into an anagram twister, comes out with Heather is a tumour.
No, here's the
I
thing.
swear to God, right?
You know I'm not smart enough to know if that's true.
It is true, 100% true, right? And this was around about the time when the divorce and all was happening and all. But this book, so the memoirs of Billy Shears is writing as the guy who replaced Paul McCartney and the Beatles.
Right.
And it's so fucking detailed and so it had to be one of the Beatles. You know what I mean? It had to be, or else it's true, but I don't think it's true. Out of all the Beatles, the one that was always the most noticeable was Paul.
Yeah.
There was times when you'd look at young George and John, you go, I don't know which one's which. Paul, you always knew.
So if it's true, Billy Shears is an unbelievable actor.
Unbelievable actor, or Billy Shears is Paul McCartney. I do think McCartney, because the Beatles definitely, like, they instigated this, yeah.
Right.
So they had loads of, like, hidden messages if you play the record backwards, like Paul's dead and all that sort of stuff, and the Sgt. Pepper's album has got the car and the bloodied driving glove, and then if you look at the flowers, it says "Here Lies Paul," all in Sgt. Pepper's album cover and all that sort of crack. The Abbey Road cover with Paul's the only one wearing no shoes and socks. Highlight.
That is so detailed to the point where
I would call it the first ever viral marketing.
Right.
Because it sold more albums for them.
Yeah.
That faction of people are going, they're actually sending messages out here, and they were playing records back. And they were just fucking around with sound and technology and new things coming out, loops and all that sort of crack. But
if you were replacing a famous person, like someone was like, Conor, this person's going to die. Science has moved on that far. We're going to change your entire appearance to the point where you will look and be this person.
Yeah.
But you got to get rid of your old life and become this person. Who would you like to be? Who would you like to replace?
It's going to be Jack Black or Ryan Gosling.
I mean, give me arguments for both.
I would be sort of similar looks to both, and I would think that
you're right in between both.
There's a spectrum.
Venn diagram.
There's a spectrum there, yeah. And like I'm in between there somewhere.
Right. But you would like their life. You like that lifestyle.
Lifestyle. Oh,
I think Jack Black could have a fun lifestyle.
Seth Rogen has a great lifestyle. Because Seth Rogen.
Oh,
Obviously,
you wouldn't need to cheat.
yeah. Just
You have the
Seth
same
Rogen.
lifestyle.
Just wear glasses. Yeah, he's making his own weed at the moment. He's created now. He's manufacturing. He's got his own company now that produces weed now, with his own strains that he's made and stuff. So
I would it'd be interesting to spend like a day as like, you know, Kim Jong Un or something like that, or like a while, but you wouldn't want to live that life.
I don't know. Well, Kim's all right.
Alan Titchmarsh seems like he would have
He would know the crack.
quite a good life.
Aye, him and Dimmock would have had some fucking nights out. Like
Oh yeah,
the
the ground force, is that what they would do?
Well,
Gardener's World, what was it?
How does your garden grow?
Huh?
No.
It's very personal. Manscaped.com. It doesn't. Alan Titchmarsh seemed like, see some people like him and Chris Packham and stuff, they get to do their passion, but they're just being filmed for it and earn like millions of pounds.
Yeah, and that's the dream, isn't it?
Like Titchmarsh would be an allotment either way.
Exactly. He's
Sure.
and
What if he fucking hates gardening? And he's like, oh fuck, guy.
It's like Joe Mahan does fucking Lesser Spotted Ulster.
Yeah, Joe hates outdoors. Like, it's well known he films all that in front of a green screen. Lesser Spotted Ulster. He hates it. Lesser Spotted Ulster, I love it. It's a brilliant show, and how can you not like love him as a guy? But there is always a character on it who you can tell hung about the crew and Joe for too long.
Yeah.
They're like,
But
all right,
you're
mate, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh geez, I could show you a wee tunnel under this bridge. Right. No, thank you.
The producer's from Omagh, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's been a producer for a
Would
long
you like
time.
to take over a wee show like that in the future?
I would know fuck all about farming. That's the problem. I would know what a field looks like,
Yeah.
but what to do with the field,
But then, surely Joe's run out of places. Like,
you'd think at this stage. Like,
I want him to do an inner city one.
well, then it's not Lesser Spotted then in that sense, but you could still, you could do that. Unless you went to like the skips at Divis. That'll be a Lesser Spotted Ulster. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, in that sense, but I don't know.
Joe wouldn't. No, Joe's not going to last long in the wee trousers and hand behind his back. You know.
Imagine the riding that boy does. Joe, I'm telling you, I know he's probably married and all the rest, but he, like them wee farmers' wives would have him ravaged.
No, they just want to bring him in for a wee tea. No.
Come upstairs and I'll show you a lesser spotter.
what?
A lesser spotted Ulster.
Oh, wow.
Fucking lesser spotted Ulcer.
Take a walk on the wild side. I love those ads for it. With Lou Reed, take a walk on the wild side. And Joe's just fucking dandering around the bog and fitting it.
Dandering around and talking to farmers about silage.
All actors.
To a tune.
Everyone in it.
To a tune talked about a transgender person making his way to New York.
Any local conspiracy theories you've heard? About like the government? About like... And this is just maybe something you've heard, not something you're purporting to be.
Well, there's kind of a glaringly obvious one being from Omagh, but we'll not go into that. Nah, I don't know. Not too much.
Do you think you'd feel one about yourself if it was fun?
Yeah, I would like people to think that I've started a cult in the middle of Gorge and Glens. Like, there's a meeting point where we go and we just eat cheeseburgers.
I think you get a few sign-ups.
I think we would make a fucking... I think
There's no mission statement. You just meet up and eat cheeseburgers.
Well, you'd have to do it naked, obviously, because it's like a cult. And then wipe the grease off each other. But I'm saying is there would be activities.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to make it interactive. You couldn't do it orienteering, you know, in the middle of the fucking Gorge and Glens.
No.
You couldn't just drop them in with a map and go, where you go.
Yeah.
You got to give them something to do.
Yeah.
And I think I could start. Remember, like Manson had his family. I could have that family where I wouldn't do anything, but I'd convince them once to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I like. That's
You're not getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, I didn't
well,
do
the cheeseburger, you're getting
Well,
greasy, but not
but
dirty.
that's not dirty, Shane.
There's a
That's
weird
lovely.
conspiracy theory about me that I support different Irish league teams.
Right?
So weird. People will be like, commenting on a video where I'm not talking about football, and someone will go, he supports the Glens, but he doesn't want anyone to know about it. He supports Cliftonville. It's
Right.
bizarre.
And who is your local team?
Tell you off there.
Oh, right.
Here's the thing. Here's why people think, because I don't have one.
Right. You're a Liverpool fan?
Man United.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Because when I grew up, I was playing football on Saturday, so I never would go and see.
Right, okay,
Plus, I didn't
yeah.
get into Irish League till about, 10, 12 years ago. But people, it's one of those ones where, like, you have to have a team. You know, people are like, you have to, mate.
Yeah.
Pick one. So now I just pick like very niche team, like Warrenpoint Town. I'm gonna drive that
You could have
conspiracy
been
theory
an
about
you could have
myself.
been an Omagh Town fan, but they're gone. Yeah,
That's sad.
yeah, that was a sad loss.
They played European football.
Yeah, they played Chelsea, Liverpool, and United after the bomb, and then closed down.
Yeah, but
like
the ground's still there, isn't it?
No, it's a park now.
Oh, I thought it was all overgrown though.
It was, and it's all complete. It's now like a park, dog park, or some.
What
shit like that.
what do you want to get up to comedy wise in like the next year or so? You got your eyes on anything sexy?
Nah, not really. I'll still keep. I like the idea of being a club comic.
Yeah.
The problem is the clubs are limited. You know, they're growing and they're getting more, but
Yeah.
to get out and about, you sort of have to do like a small tour or
I
something.
think there is far less I think you're right. I think there's far less
Actual
comedy clubs you
yeah.
can go and do.
There's lots of venues, but actual comedy clubs.
Yeah.
they're
Like
very,
I'd
very
probably
few.
consider like I'm a club comic too. Like I'll take any spot in any comedy club usually that I can get.
Yeah, but if you're, no disrespect, like, but if you're doing 2 nights in the SSE Arena, you're not really a club comic anymore. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
but-
want to. That's a big fucking club.
But like the night before, like the week before,
Yeah,
I was in Strand Cinema. Or like there was some gig, and on the
Yeah.
day I was like, here, could I jump? Like,
but that's you because you like to be among the peasants the whole time to bring you down, just to keep
Yes.
you grounded.
Yeah.
But that's just that's more of a training thing, a motivational
Yeah.
thing. Like,
but
don't end up like these plebs.
nothing
go to,
beats a good club.
Yeah. A good club that's, because the point of a club is you're getting the variation. So like you mightn't like this act, but the one after, and then you'll find hidden gems and you'll find somebody you've never seen before.
Plus,
And that's usually what happened with Daley's. Like Daley's was like 10 or 11 years ago, so you guys were all just starting.
yeah.
So like yourself and Colin and Mickey and then Paddy as well. Paddy was an Omagh favourite for
That's
fucking
right.
years.
Yeah.
They loved him, and that was just coming down, and people were like, "Fuck, this is great." So it was a weird thing for us to have that, to be the zeitgeist, but you were there at the birth of what's now become a fully fledged fucking circuit and a scene. Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, maybe it's wrong to say circuit. We don't have a circuit, and that's the
No.
problem. Murph was telling me that they used to have 2 circuits.
Derry and Belfast.
No, they used to have 2 like actual like.
Oh, you could go round.
You would
and do
go
a
round.
week of
So I think Jackie Hamilton ran one, and somebody else ran another one, and then you would tour. You would basically go around venues around the north, and once you'd finish one circuit, you'd do the next.
Oh, so it's like Wednesday you go here,
Yeah.
Thursday you're here, Friday you're here. The lack of weekend comedy kills me.
It's a weird one, but I like it too because I have a day job. So
Yeah,
I like
true,
the weekend to be weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't mind putting in the extra graft and doing a night gig during the week, whatever. But the weekend's the weekend. But
Yeah.
it's a weird thing for Belfast not to have it. A city should have a weekend comedy
Yeah.
club. Yeah.
What's the most fucked up thing you've seen when you're on stage or like at a gig? Have you dealt with utter madness before?
Yeah. Well, last week at the fucking Lavery's, that crazy woman.
Oh yeah, that Dutch woman
The
who
Dutch
just
woman who.
kept heckling, like
Oh,
not even heckling. She
She
kept
just
just wanting to join
join
the
in.
show
She
and
wanted
be
to join
part
in.
of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, see, just by being there, you're literally an integral part of it anyway.
Yeah. That was just a difficult
I think you
thing,
dealt with
but-
that very, very well.
Well, yeah,
As well as you could have.
as well as I could have done. Yeah, I just kept fucking interrupting. I was just so glad because talk about a wee bit of fucking xenophobia before the thing starts. I said to Butler, I was like, "Where's she from?" He went, "Italy," and I went, "Right." So as the thing went on, somebody, might have been yourself, asked her, "Where are you from?" And she said, "Holland."
I didn't speak to her at all.
You don't speak to her. Somebody asked her where you're from, maybe an MC or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
and she said Holland. And I looked at Butler and I said, "I thought she said Italy." I went, "Aye, she looked like Italy."
No, I think Butler said same thing.
Right.
He wouldn't know. He wouldn't be a geography guy at all. At all.
So I was glad that it was Holland and she was Dutch, because then I knew, obviously, Amsterdam being my mecca,
Yeah.
that I had a lot to slag her about. But any other madness? Not really. I mean, going to shows, going to gigs where there's 4 people, I call that madness.
Yeah.
And then being forced by a producer or a promoter to go on ahead with the show.
I
And
think
I'm going-
you're very good at stopping madness. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I know what
think
you
you
mean, yeah.
set a great tone. Or even if you're on stage, like headlining at Lavery's, you were very good at dealing with that, I thought.
Mickey said it was warmth.
Yeah.
It's just because you could have been really contish to her,
Yes.
but you had to like try, because it's a fine line. You've got a woman by herself, by the way.
Yeah.
Had no friends with her, totally by herself in a strange city and at a gig where the whole room were like, oh, for fuck's sake, will you fuck up now? But nobody wanted to say it.
Yeah, it's ballsy.
And then you're also borderline going, I don't want this clip to come out if I tear into this lone fucking foreigner sitting by herself in the middle of the audience. So you had to try and keep it. But the more you spoke to
Britain first, you were chanting.
Yeah, I was
Britain
constantly
first,
at all
first.
times. Like I was like, well, Brexit was right. You know what I mean? I kept reminding her at all times.
You introduced yourself as young Farage.
Upper raw.
Do you think he knew? He knew when he was doing that clip.
He had to know.
Working in British politics, like he knew.
Unless something was written to him spelt out phonetically.
Right.
Do you think there was an R-A-H, like the Ra? You know, if he had seen R-A by itself, no matter what context, there's no way he would not known.
Nah.
No, but again, it's Farage, you never fucking know.
But I'm sure his like cameos went through the roof after.
That's the thing. You see how much money they make after it. That's the thing. Yeah.
Again, he's fueling the.
Do you think there was? Do you think then there was a load of loyalists going, well, we'll get him to say what we want.
Yeah.
And you're going, no, you don't have to. He already does what you need to do. But he made a fortune. Boys going here, say up the UVF for me.
Yeah.
Up the da.
Spell just spelling it a different way.
Just up a da. UDA. Up a da.
Yeah. I love you, da. Nigel, do a Father's Day message for me.
I love you, da.
Paddy McAkee, we talked about earlier, does a joke about this thing I had seen totally separately years before. He does a very funny pun on the joke, like UDA man, you the man,
Right, okay,
UDA man. I remember being in Mallorca when I was like 12 and seeing a guy in a red t-shirt with white letters that said "U space the man," and he obviously like was foreign, and it was like "you the man." And I remember as a child being like, "That's 10 out of 10." I love that.
I remember years ago taking my daughter to the Lagan Valley swimming place down Lisbon, and I suppose coming from Tyrone, there's usually not much you would see of it, but I'd seen these guys. Now I go in the pool. I'm tits out, right?
Do you say you go in the pool with your tits out?
Yeah, I'm tits out. There's no t-shirts.
When you go
nothing
on the pool?
When I'm going to the pool.
Oh.
Going into the pool. Sorry. No.
I thought you looked at me and went, "See, when I go on the pool, tits out."
So when you said pool, I was going, what? I was like, oh, pool, you mean? Yeah, sorry. Learn how to speak, you fucking. When I'm on the pool, no, when I was going to the pool, I'm saying I'm tits out. I'm just, I'll not wear a t-shirt, even though I should, just for other people spectating. And I would go in and I see these guys in like these almost like wetsuit vests in the pool. What's
Should be on a register.
Exact my thought. I'm going around the lazy river behind them going, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Because you're up to something.
Yeah.
And then we get, after it's over and going to the showers, you realise why. Because he had "kill all tags" written on the back of his tattoo.
Was he Protestant?
I don't know. And I was like, oh, that's what the vest was for, to stop
Mate,
a
you know what
fucking
I mean?
riot.
You have a few drinks, you're away, you see a tattoo parlour, what are you going to do? What was he going to get?
I was like, fuck, I never thought about that. How many tattoos are there in this country that would start a riot if they were produced in any public space?
Oh my God.
So yeah, that was my first learning. I was like, fucking hell, I never thought about that. Fuck, man.
Jacob's boys warning him when he was getting that done. Like, you take your daughter to, you're going to have to get a wetsuit.
The worst thing is there was a cunt worse than him because he wasn't wearing a vest and his tattoo in the back said "Property of Christ." Right? And I seen him and I was like, well, I want him. Give me the "kill all tags" boy
More
any
offended by
day.
it.
I'm more offended by the "Property of Christ." I used to always think, fuck, wouldn't it be great if there was a backstory to it, and he actually used to be in McGabry. And like he was pimped out to a big lad called Chris. Tattoo fixers had to come in. Tattoo fixers had to come in. So I'd go put a tea on there, will you?
Oh dear. Speaking of tea, I've enjoyed greatly having a tea with you.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's been a long time. I need to pee so bad.
Oh no!
And we were talking about swimmers. I was like,
oh fuck! And then water like flowing and stuff.
Yeah.
And and you don't go chasing waterfalls and all that sort of stuff because you don't want to fucking.
I don't want the scrubs.
Yeah.
Keezy, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Daley's Comedy Club. Make a trip to it.
Yeah, can't get us. It's next month actually. Yeah, so there's only a few tickets
What
left.
date?
So if you get us, yeah, on the 4th of March. Yeah.
There we go. Connor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Shane.
Text the live podcast in the description. See you next time.